Welcome to episode 25 of On the Bench. On the Bench is the world's only podcast for scale modelers by scale modelers. So if you build aircraft, ships, armour, cars, science fiction subjects, figures, this is the podcast for you. On the Bench is a fortnightly podcast available on iTunes, Stitcher, and all good podcast apps. Don't forget to mark us as your favourite so you never miss a show. And while you're there, leave a rating. That just helps other people find the show as well. If you want to get in contact with us, we'd love to hear from you. And there's a couple of ways you can do that. Firstly, you can send us an email at onthebench64@gmail.com. Alternatively, just pop in the words On the Bench into Facebook and that'll take you directly to our page. Episode 25 is essentially just an extension of episode 24. We recorded so many sessions at the expo show that we were at. Had so many guests on the show that we weren't able to fit them all in the one episode. So rather than have a big 2-hour episode, we decided to split it up. So for your enjoyment, here's some more of what we recorded. Let's get right into it. And we're back. We've managed to find and track down Brett Green. G'day, Brett. How you going?
Very well, thanks, Dave. How are you?
Good, thank you. Now, you've got a bit of a, large reputation in the Australian modelling world, if not certainly in the Melbourne modelling world.
Oh, thank you very much.
In the greater modelling world.
Yes.
So for our international listeners, do you want to give us a quick bio on yourself?
Yes. I like pina coladas and walking in the rain. I started a website called Hyperscale in 1998. It's hard to believe that's more than 20 years ago
Wow.
now
Yeah.
that it started. And I've been running that ever since, but I also, over the years, acquired the Missing Links military model website. Mm-hmm. And one of our long-time advertisers, who were ADH Publishing, actually took me on as editor of their print magazine, Model Military International. That was nearly 10 years ago now. And we've also launched a brand new magazine called Military Illustrator Modeler, which has an aircraft and a military edition, and I also edit the aircraft edition of that.
Now, I've picked up a couple of those magazines, and they're absolutely stunning.
Top quality.
Yeah, the quality you got them is just absolutely brilliant.
Oh, thanks very much.
Yeah.
They're good fun to do. It's funny also, I guess, that I've come into it in the wrong direction. So I started out online and I moved into print after that.
Which is an unusual way of going about it, isn't it?
It is. I'm going to have to start chiseling stone or something, I think, next at this rate. But the magazines are a lot of fun. And there is something wonderful about having that tangible piece of cardboard and paper in your hand and being able to see it in print on the paper.
Yeah. Julian's a bit of a Luddite, and
I'm very much the youngest person here, so I tend to stay online for most of my things, and I definitely know the value of your like books and magazines and all that sort of stuff, but I don't have the room for it.
But you know what? Having said that, I have now started reading my modelling magazines through my iPad and subscribing that way. And the beauty about it is, for somebody of my sort of advanced years, you can actually zoom in on the pictures and get a really good look at the pictures because the resolution's so high.
Yes.
And it's just an awesome way to sort of read magazines now, I find.
Yeah, I think so. And my argument was always with magazines and with modelling books is that it's great to be able to crack it open and have it on your modelling desk when you're actually working on a kit. So you can say, okay, I can see Brett's done this and I can do the same, and they've got it open right there. you're not that far away from the same concept with an iPad, really.
Yes,
you don't necessarily want to spill your lacquer thinners on it. But,
No.
But certainly you can have that on your modelling desk as well and use it as a guide.
And most people now, when you have a look, like, there's different forums and everything where people send photos in of their build room, it's just about everyone has a computer screen in it now.
Yep.
So you've got that as a reference, and because it's sort of sitting up square, you're not going to sort of spill paint or anything onto it anyway, are you?
No, that's true. No, it's funny because I was just talking to Frank Morgan about my book collection. I've got a large book collection. I probably have 20 bookshelves full of these fantastic titles that I've accumulated over the last 30 years or so, really. And I've hardly cracked one of them open for the last decade because it's just so easy
to go online.
To go online, to dial in, Dornier 335, and all of a sudden the world's knowledge is at your hand.
Exactly.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
So how you been finding the magazine? Good?
Yeah, really, really good. Yeah, love it. It's a lot of fun to do. I also find it's helpful for my modelling because it gives me a physical deadline. So we publish the aircraft edition of MIM bi-monthly, so I know that I've got about 2 months to build my next aircraft model.
Yep.
And of course, MMI, the military magazine, comes out monthly, so that's a bit more challenging.
Yes.
But the advantage that we've got there is that Tamiya tend to send out a lot of their new releases and even test shots. And as you might have heard, Tamiya is pretty easy to build. So, so if you want to have a quick build, then there's usually a Tamiya kit fairly close to hand.
Ian and I have a real love affair with Tamiya. It's just they're just gorgeous kits that just fall together.
If only I would build one. I collect them, but I always find the worst kit to build in the collection. Try and get that out of the way.
No, what you need to do is edit a monthly print magazine, and then you'll have the motivation to actually finish
that's
it
right.
for the deadline.
Yeah, plus you get all the good kits to look at.
Yeah,
so
that's
I noticed
true.
you've, was it the new Revell 48 scale
Beaufighter?
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
TF Mark 10.
Yep, yes, that's right. That was a surprise. That sort of came out of the blue. I actually saw online that somebody mentioned they had a test shot that had just arrived.
Yep.
And, as if, miraculously, the kit turned up on my doorstep the next day.
Wow.
And how would you say that will compare to the old Tamiya one?
The Tamiya one was really not the same generation as their 109 and their Key 61 and their more recent releases.
Yep.
So it was a little less detailed than their current work. I would say the Revell Beaufighter, certainly in terms of surface detail, it's much finer. In terms of actual detail, it is a lot more detailed in the engine and the interior department. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I have a real love-hate relationship with Revell because a lot of my Revell kits were the early ones where they had these huge gaps in them.
Oh, yes.
And they have this, and I've banged on about this in previous episodes where they have this really strange sort of scales that they bring out for their ship models sometimes. They're just bizarre, and I just can't...
Fit the box scale, Dave, is what it is. Fit the box scale.
Yeah, that's right.
But anyway. So, a bit more about your fine scale. That's still running? That website's still up and running?
Yeah,
Oh, yes,
And a lot of people will be familiar with that, especially our international listeners as well.
Oh, yes, it seems to be popular. Yeah, yeah, which is good.
And what sort of genre of modelling do you mainly find yourself building nowadays?
I like a lot of World War II subjects. I do like Australian subjects, Luftwaffe subjects, RAF, and mainly 48 scale, but increasingly as my eyesight continues to get worse.
as it does.
32nd scale. I'll tell you in public that the reason I like 32nd scale is because you can have so much more detail.
Yeah, and you can see it.
But it's really just because I can't see it. Yeah, but don't tell anyone.
No. We'll get it between ourselves.
Yeah, that's right. But the aircraft side of things, it's interesting. When I started Hyperscale, I was mainly building military aircraft, military vehicles. And I submitted a number of articles to a website called TrackLink, which is still running today.
Yes, it is, yeah.
And it was running a couple of years before Hyperscale was started. And there wasn't anything like Hyperscale. And it was only really the fact that I thought it would be nice to be able to do something similar to TrackLink on the aircraft side of things that made me kind of establish hyperscale, and then that moved my focus from military models to aircraft models again. And then 10 years ago, when I picked up the Model Military International magazine, it went the other way. So all of a sudden, I'm editing a military magazine.
Yes.
And I've got the requirement really to start building military models again. But now with magazines on both subjects and hyperscale and missing links, so I get to build anything I want, really.
Oh, what a life.
Oh, no, now everyone will hate me.
No, that's all right. We're all just jealous, that's all.
Yeah,
That's right.
We're still part of our podcast. What we normally do is the first section we normally review new model kits and everything that are coming out. So generally for us, we're still waiting for the manufacturers to send us new kits for us to have a look at. But we'll get there. We'll certainly get there. And that will sort of force us to do a quick build, if not just take it off the sprue and see how it sits together type affair. But you said with your deadlines, you really sort of got to push sometimes to get those kits sort of ready to meet your deadlines. Mm-hmm. Do you cast around within the modelling world and ask people to actually submit models that they've built? Or
Oh, yes. We've been particularly lucky with the aircraft edition of MIM in that we have a bit of an ensemble.
Yep.
One of the things that I always used to love about Tamiya Model Magazine, long before Hyperscale, long before I was ever involved in print publishing, was the fact that they had this ensemble of 3 or 4 modelers who would regularly contribute, often every month, with their modelling projects.
Yep.
And I thought, wouldn't it be nice if I had a magazine, if I'd be able to do that? And to a certain extent, we have with people like James Hatch.
Yes.
Camel Felix Dabala, Tony Bell, Chris Wackop. So we've been able to draw on a regular group of very talented modelers.
Very talented modelers, those guys,
and great photographers as well. And, that makes a huge difference.
Yeah, it does.
I've had submissions from modelers who are obviously very good, but their photography doesn't quite come up to the standard that you need when you're wanting to do a double-page spread in a print magazine.
Yes, you want top quality, high resolution, good lighting.
But certainly anybody out there who is interested in submitting aircraft or military articles, just drop me a note in the usual places.
Terrific.
Sounds good, yes.
And I'm sure there's some people out there listening to this podcast who'll sort of certainly be inspired to do that.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Definitely, yeah.
That's good.
With all our new people who come on the podcast, the course is called On the Bench. And of course, that leads us to the question, what's on your bench at the moment, Brett?
Oh, well, my bench is in between at the moment. I've just literally finished the new, forthcoming actually, the test shots of the Tamiya 48 scale M4A3 Easy 8 Sherman.
Oh.
So that's quite nice.
Yep.
I just stuck a couple of value gear packs on that.
Can you talk a bit more about it?
Yes. It's the first time, although it's not the first Sherman that Tamiya has done in 48 scale, it's the first time they've done an HVSS Sherman.
Yep.
Right.
So the horizontal suspension units. And it's everything you would expect a Tamiya kit to be. It almost falls together. It really does. Not a lot of marking options on it. Basically, it's a couple of stars, and I didn't even bother putting those on. But I think I love 48 scale military stuff, and it's not only because it makes it easier for me to reach the deadline, but they're fast to build. They're still quite well detailed.
Yes.
And you get to the fun bit, the painting, even faster than you do with some other kits.
True.
Yeah.
Very true.
Yep.
But I think the next kit that I will have on the workbench will be the Beaufighter, the Rafale Beaufighter.
Ooh, looking forward to that one.
Yes, it's a surprise one actually, because I was expecting that I'd probably build the test shots of the F-14D, Tamiya F-14D Tomcat. But I'm just too tempted by this Beaufighter.
Everyone loves the
Don't
Beaufighter.
blame you at all, mate.
There's a reason why Tamiya sell 4 different variants of it.
Yes.
It's a popular subject.
It is.
Very popular.
Although that new release of the F-14, that's certainly been garnering quite a lot of interest online.
Yes.
Yeah, it's. I think the F-14A answered all the questions that were being asked about whether we really needed another F-14 kit in 48 scale.
Yeah.
Yep.
And whether it was as good as kits that may or may not come out in the future. And I think there'll be less scepticism about the F-14D. It looks every bit as nice as the F-14A.
So from where you sit in with your fingers on all these different publications and access to sort of the world, how do you see the hobby moving forward?
It's an interesting one. There is no doubt that I think modelers are ageing. Sorry out there,
We
everyone.
are. We are.
But we are. I know I am. However, there are also parts of the world where there are giant new demographics coming into the hobby that haven't been there before.
Yep.
Yes.
And I'm principally thinking about China. But you also look at Japan, and the modelling scene is very healthy over there.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
And in Korea as well, for that
And
matter.
Korea, yes,
Yeah.
yes, that's absolutely right. So even if there are fewer modelers in the West, there are enough new modelers and young modelers in the Far East to actually keep product pumping out to us.
Well, it's interesting. We had a couple of episodes ago. We had someone talk about Gundam, because we absolutely knew nothing about it. And during our research for that, I think it was about 4 years ago, it was worth $800 million worldwide, and those figures are about 4 years old now.
Yep.
So it's probably touching $1 billion now.
Yes,
that's just Gundam.
Yep.
And so that's where all the new kids are coming through. And as we know, we build in phases. So you might be building Gundam for the next couple of years, but you say, I might try cars this year or something like that. So I think that's where the market is coming from, the new market, as well as things like the wargaming sector as well, where they build the figures and goodness, I've forgotten the name
Warhammer,
of Warhammer stuff. That's right.
Games Workshop.
Yeah, Games Workshop. I mean, that crowd. You're always getting cross pollination coming through from there. So I reckon, despite what people say, I think the future's certainly bright for the modelling. And look at all the new kits coming out, and not only that, but all the micro manufacturers that are coming out now. They wouldn't do it if there wasn't the market there to support them.
the technology is really at a sweet spot now.
Yes.
When you look at what you can do with 3D printing,
Yes.
it means that you don't have to be an artisan in order to produce a masterpiece, or a masterpiece, not a masterpiece, for a resin accessory set.
Mm-hmm.
So you can create something in CAD.
Yep.
You can send it to a printer. You can print it out, and then that can be the master for a resin accessory.
Yep.
Yes.
And have the plastic manufacturing costs come down? That's always something I've wondered about.
Yeah, I'm not sure that... I don't think they were all that high in the first place. The unit cost has probably gone up because the plastic kit manufacturers are producing less or fewer kits in a run than they used to.
Ah.
So in the 1960s or 70s, Revell might have produced, I don't know, hundreds of thousands, literally hundreds of thousands of kits for a new release, whereas now... it's more likely to be in the tens of thousands.
Yes.
Because you look at a mould, and a mould now will set you back $50,000, $60,000 for a mould. And if it's a complicated kit, you're going to need 2 or 3 moulds. So you've got to recover those costs. I think boxing is one of the most expensive parts.
Boxing and decals are the most expensive.
Yeah. And then, of course, you've then got to sort of shipping, advertising, all that type of stuff. So
It's funny that you mentioned the boxing because... I've noticed a big increases in the kind of variation of quality in the boxing. You know, you look at companies like Meng and they have that velvety texture to them. You would think that would add an unnecessary increase to the cost, but people are prepared to pay it.
That's right, and it sets the company apart from other manufacturers.
Yeah.
So a company like Meng has made a conscious decision to produce a quality product, and they don't want the product just to be... You can't see the product because it's in a sealed box.
Yes, that's right.
So what they have to do is represent the quality by the standard of box art, the rigidity of the box, the satin finish on the image on the box art, and I think they're very clever.
Well, Wingnut Wings is another one. I mean, their boxes
Absolutely.
are just pure art.
Yes.
There's that beautiful picture on the front and that lovely sort of silvering they've got around the edge.
Yeah, the gilt edge.
Just look gorgeous. And you know that you're looking at a quality product. And we know for a fact that they're just as good as Tamari, if not even better, the way they sort of go together.
Incredible, yes.
Yeah, so I've just started playing with the Junkers D1 and everything just clips together. You can get the cockpit, clip it together, hold it upside down, shake it, nothing falls off.
So you're
without any glue.
You're only using glue as an insurance.
Yeah, basically. So that's my first foray into Wingnut Wings.
But there are some low volume manufacturers who are coming onto the market now who are producing some incredible kits too.
Yeah.
So Copper State Models.
Yes, Copper State.
Doing
Yep.
48 scale World War I aircraft. Even companies like AMG, who I think have been around for a little while, their early BF-109s were very nice indeed.
Yep.
So the niche interests are getting covered in high quality as well. You don't
Yes.
have to sort of carve your model out of a piece of soap to get a result these days.
Yes, true.
I just want to know where the 48 scale Beaufort is. Somebody must have to do a Beaufort in 148 scale.
I've got a very bad vac form one at home.
Yes, so have I.
One day I'll might break it open and try and build it.
Yes, I've got that Contrail kit
Yeah,
too,
that's
but
the
it's a
one,
Mark
yeah.
1.
Yeah.
And, I mean, you might as well have a completely different airplane compared
that's
to a
right.
Mark
Yeah, they're totally
8,
different.
which is what I want to do.
Yeah,
and I
the Aussie
presume you
ones.
do too.
Yeah.
Well, I'm hanging out, and I've said it already that Airfix hopefully will be bringing out the 1350 scale Queen Elizabeth class aircraft carrier, which I'm dying to get my hands on. But there's been no news leaked whatsoever yet, so...
It could be a wait. It could be a wait. Well, I'm the same with Wingnuts. Like, well, come on, Wingnut Wings. Where's my SPAD 13? Of all the famous World War I aircraft.
Yeah.
That or a Newport.
I was hoping somebody from Wingnuts Wings would be here at the show this weekend, but unfortunately not. So,
Oh, well.
you know what? We might have to actually do a call across to New Zealand and get them on the show. That's going to be the easiest way of doing it.
Yes. Put them on the spot, though.
No, they're good guys. They're good guys.
Yeah, they are.
They are. Very good.
Well, Brett, thank you very, very much for coming on the show.
My pleasure, Dave. Thank you very much for having me as well. So it's been a pleasure.
No worries at all. Okay.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye. This next interview is with one of our listeners, actually, who lives down in Tasmania. And he came up to the stand and said g'day to us and just let us know how much he was enjoying listening to the podcast. But we got talking off air, and he was telling me this really intriguing story about when he went for a trip overseas to catch up and have a look at what he considers one of his sort of dream aircraft, which was the Heinkels 111. So without giving any more away, here's the interview with Richard. And now I've managed to grab one of our listeners to the show, Richard Hall. And Richard was telling me off air a fantastic story about when he went overseas and actually got to have a close up and personal experience with a Heinkels 111. G'day, Richard. Welcome to the podcast.
G'day, Dave. How you
So
going?
I'm good. I'm really well, thanks, mate. So tell me about this experience when you're overseas in Europe. I didn't even know there were that many Heinkels around.
Well, neither did I. Been waiting for probably 45 years to go since I was 6.
Yep.
Because I got a Heinkels 111 for some birthday, and then got another when I was 13. Fell in love with them.
So Heinkels your favourite aircraft?
Well, a Heinkels 111 is yes. And then since then I've fallen in love with all these Heinkels and collected them all. Tried to stay to theme at 1 to 72.
Yep. Constant scale builder. Good boy.
Try. I've got about 28 different Heinkels built.
Wow.
And about 40 unbuilt, all different.
Yep.
And I've discovered all this wonderful world, and I find gems every now and again.
Yep. So you're actually from Tasmania, not
Yep.
from Melbourne.
No, from Tassie, yeah.
So
I drive from Launceston to Hobart and back quite often as a travelling architect, and been listening to your podcast and have a laugh. It's good. It's very real. It's good.
So for our listeners around the world, Tasmania is that little bit as far south as you can go in Australia. It's that little island to the south. We call it the Apple Isle.
Map of Tassie.
It's exactly right. So tell me about the Heinkels.
Well, we're going to Europe, and I said to my partner, I said, well, I'm going, and I have to go see these Heinkels.
Yep.
And I found out there was one in Munich, I think it was, and it was actually one of the later ones with the different engines in it.
This is the one with the Spanish Air Force
Yeah,
used?
Spanish Air Force. It was a weird azure blue colour. That was one to go see. And there was another supposed to be in Berlin, and we were staying one side of Berlin, and we said, it's all right, it's a 25-kilometre ride our bikes.
You rode your bikes across Berlin.
So we're riding our bikes. I thought, you go about 25 kilometres an hour, take an hour, maybe 2.
Yep.
Took 6. By the time we found our way, and it started raining, and the place was shutting, and
Oh, no.
my girlfriend's she's going, this isn't what I thought it was going to be. And finally, we managed to get there. Anyway, so I finally arrived. It's a much longer story, but I finally get there and I go to these people, this little bench, and you can see all these jets all like...
So it's an actual museum.
It is, but most of it's outside. Like there's MiG jets just sitting on a runway, all beautifully weathered. Like, well, I don't even know the jets that well. The other guy that was on the episode earlier, going to Russia, knew all about that stuff. Yeah, this is all just sitting on a runway, and I was talking to him, and I said, I've come from Tasmania to see your Heinkel 111, and they said, we haven't got a Heinkel 111 here. I said, yes, you have. It's on your website. I'll show you. Oh, we haven't got a computer here. And my girlfriend's just walked off. She was like, it actually been raining on our bikes. We were wet. Yeah. And trying to get this place. So I was so determined. And then in the end, I just wandered around, looked at all these beautiful jets, like Alpha jets and stuff, just sitting there, like 40 different types. Yeah. All other airplanes as well. I can't remember. It was a Canberra just sitting there. And
oh, wow, Canberra. And,
I don't know why that's there.
Yeah, maybe because the RAF used to fly over there.
Anyway, I can give you the names and everything offline.
Sure.
To get all this stuff. But anyway, I was walking around really despondent and had my bike and looked at the stuff I didn't want to see. And then this guy came over in a ute and he couldn't speak English and just waved me to follow him. And I followed him on my push bike across this runway. And then I found a guy in this other part of the museum, which was also shut, which had a Messerschmitt Comet there, which I couldn't see because it was locked away.
I've actually seen one of them up in Canberra.
Yeah, I've seen that one too. Yeah, this one's the German one in Germany. But anyway, and there was a Messerschmitt 262 there as well. But in the meantime, I've got to see those in other museums. Yep. Amazing. Heinkels 162 in Munich, I think. Yep. I just started crying. It was so good. Had the patina as if it was straight out of the wall. Wow. Anyway, so then this guy waved me over and he said it's in the military base because it's so precious to put it away. And they took me through this special area. Yeah. And I didn't have to just all a bit weird. And then I thought, are they going to take me? It's getting pretty... Anyway. So there was a Heinkels sitting on the ground. We'd go through these other airplane parts, and there it was on the ground. I could definitely see the fuselage. Yep. The front canopy had a canvas hood over it, but I could tell what it was. And the wings were just sitting on the ground. Wow. And he said, help yourself. And I could get in it, run my hand along it, and it was just amazing.
So what year was this?
Oh, well, it's my birthday today, actually. Yeah. So it was my 50th last year.
Oh, it's only last year?
Yeah, last year. Oh, wow. Yeah.
That's awesome.
And they're going to fix it up now and put it properly displayed. It used to be on display, but it was getting worn out or something. I don't know. Yep.
So still in its original wartime markings and everything?
Yeah, I didn't get to see the cockpit or anything. But and then after that, we flew to London. I went to the really good one in London. Can't remember what that is. And there's a... Yep. And this story goes on, and the Heinkel 111 there, they're repairing their workshop, and that wasn't on display either.
Oh, no.
A big trip to see these, they were all not there. But I talked to the guy, and he said, come back tomorrow, and he let me go in, and I was able to touch that one as well, and that was complete. Yeah. Yeah, and that had the proper engines, and it was amazing. So it was an amazing trip, and I just persisted. I said, you have to show me these things.
Oh, well done.
And I did.
Well done.
Yeah. So I saw, and I jumped the rope at the one in Munich and touched the engines because this might be the only one I get to touch. I actually got to feel 3 Heinkel 111s. And it was fantastic. But this Heinkel 162 that I saw is absolutely amazing.
Oh, that's brilliant. It's such a brilliant story.
Yeah.
And just to find it sort of hidden away on the airbase over there, and still it's an original patina, and they are going to restore it and bring it back to static display.
They realise how precious it is, and they've taken it away. But it's still sitting outside, mind you.
Oh wow!
Yeah, but I don't think so anymore. Yeah, so it was good.
What really attracts me to the Heinkels 111 is the wing. It's such a beautiful wing.
Beautiful wing.
And it just stands out.
Yeah. I love it.
Yeah. And you showed me pictures earlier on of your model of your Heinkels 111.
Yeah, well,
and you're going to share the story about.
I will. I built. So I've been building model aircraft since I was 5. Yeah. The first one I built was a Hellcat, I think, and it was terribly built. But my uncle George said, that's really good. So from that point on, I just build models and show people.
Yep.
And then you don't do it because it's embarrassing when you're 16, and then you get back into it when you're 26. And I've been collecting Heinkels, and eBay turned up, and then you could get all these weird ones, and I got a Heinkel 116, which I didn't even know they built a kit from this, and I said, I have to buy this, and the price went ridiculous, like $320 for this 16 bits of resin. And I didn't buy it, I couldn't afford it. And I had to wait, and then another one turned up, fortunately, and because of the time scale, I got it for about $70, so that was good. And I haven't seen another one since. And I can't remember the question you asked me.
About your Heinkel 111.
Right, so I've been building these things, and I built a Heinkel, the Matchbox Heinkel 111 when I was about 13.
Yep.
And I fell in love with all the canopies and all that, and I've become really good at doing that. Anyway, so then Airfix finally brings out this beautiful Heinkel 111.
Which was a gorgeous kit.
And I got it for, my son's bought it for Christmas for me.
Yep.
And it is absolutely beautiful kit. And I built it and built it and built it for months. I bought the brass seat belts. I've never done it before. Put that all in.
And you showed me photos of the cockpit, and it's just gorgeous. The work you've done in that.
It's like a jewellery box. And I bought the mask kit.
Yep.
I did the whole thing and built it. And I thought this is going to be the best model kit I have ever built, and it is. Except the Airfix instructions are slightly ambiguous, and I fell for it and got the dark green and the lighter green in reverse.
And
I cannot fix it.
Anyway, that's such a great story.
But it's beautiful. It's on display. Anyway, so I've come to the Melbourne Expo, and I was going to bring a model.
Yep.
But it was just too difficult and too quick to do. So anyway, but I might have gone all right. I was surprised. I might be all right, okay at this stuff.
Well, Richard, thanks for popping along.
No worries
thanks
at
for
all.
saying g'day, and thanks for sharing your story.
No problems.
All right, cheers,
I'll
mate.
keep listening too.
Okay, thanks.
Bye.
Bye. The next interview is with Troy, a Melbourne-based modeller, and he did a lovely rendition of a space shuttle, and I just couldn't turn up the opportunity to have him on the show and have a bit of a chat about his model. And we're back with another guest. We've got Troy, who built a space shuttle. Which one was it, Troy?
It's a Tamiya 1100 space shuttle orbiter.
Yep. And which ship was it that you built?
Columbia on its maiden flight.
Yeah, and it came across as a beautiful little kit, actually.
It does look very nice.
And the reason why I sort of grabbed Troy to come and have a chat about it, because with those real space subjects, sometimes it's really hard to sort of get a lot of the, what would you call it, realism into it.
Yes.
And what Troy's managed to do with especially with the space shuttles, is the tiles underneath.
Yep.
And so, you talk us through, Troy, how you actually got that all done.
Warbirds decals over in the States do them in a whole lot of different scales, but
Right.
I actually bought them before I actually found the kit that I wanted to build. So I bought them, and then B&A Model World had a sale on the kit, and I go, oh, I'll grab one of them, and next thing you know, I had it together, I had it on the bench, and because I did the 148 Dragon Lunar Lander last year, and I really wanted to do another real space model, and I've always loved the space shuttle. So
Yep.
So yeah, but they're great decals. I was a bit panicky at one stage, before I started, because you know how big decals go. You stuff up one.
Oh yeah,
you're throwing them all out.
And it's quite large. I'd imagine it'd be quite a large sheet that the decal comes in. Did you cut it up into sections, or?
It comes over 2 sheets.
Yep.
And they're pretty straightforward to use, but yeah, they come in, 3.5 by 4 centimetre pieces.
Yep.
Is the largest. But the only real problem with putting them on, because I thought they look a bit thin, but no, they slid on nicely. Took a ton of setting solution.
What setting solution do you normally use?
Microsol.
Yeah.
Yep. So I'm just going through and leaving it for a few hours, applying it, leaving it for a few hours, coming back and checking it. It's still got a few bubbles, so go through and little pinpricks and slices here and there and reapplied, go away. Try not to touch it, because there's nothing worse than touching a decal. Touching a decal, as you know. So, but yeah, in the end, it was awesome. Some of the other scales, like the 172, is more detailed. You can get they've got even more tile decals that you can put on. So one day I wouldn't mind doing that. But I've got another 100 Tamiya in the stash, and I'm going to do that as the final space shuttle flight. Show the differences between, because all the shuttles look different.
Yes.
You know, you see a space shuttle and you go, oh yeah, it's a space shuttle. But no, the doors are different on some.
Oh, okay, I never knew that.
The tails are different.
Yeah.
Even
All
Columbia
right.
throughout its life had a different tail. So.
Oh, I never knew that.
So yeah, I mean, some shuttles couldn't dock with the space station, the ISS. So. Yeah. So.
Interesting.
I noticed on the same sort of table where your space shuttles, and there's a couple of rockets from Horizon Models. There's the Atlas and the Redstone.
Yep.
They're great kits, aren't they?
Oh, they're gorgeous. I love them.
We're going to have to get the, because they're Australian manufacturers, so we're going to have to get in contact with
He's
Horizon.
here this weekend.
Oh, is he really?
Yeah, he's the one who's sponsoring the real space category.
Oh, I'm going to have to try and find, see if he's around and get him on the podcast.
Have a wrangle with him.
Yeah. Eric did a brilliant job with his two.
Yeah.
I haven't met the guy who did the other two, but...
We'll just pause for a second while we're waiting for this.
Done.
With the joys of doing a podcast from a show.
Yes.
So, sorry, where were we? We were talking about the Horizon models.
models.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's got a new one coming out soon as well. But I can't think of what the subject is, but off the top of my head. But no, they're beautiful kits. They're a good price, and even in the one kit, because they've got the different tops.
Yeah, so with the Atlas rocket, you can either have it as the ICBM, or you can have it as the with the capsule on top.
Gemini capsule.
The Gemini capsule,
Gemini,
yeah. So, yeah, absolutely gorgeous model. So I'm going to have to try and hunt him down and see if we can get him on the show.
Definitely.
So that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
All right.
No worries.
Well, thanks very much, Troy.
Yeah, Troy.
Thanks for dropping in and saying g'day.
Thanks,
Enjoy the
guys.
rest of your show.
No worries. Cheers.
Catch you, bye.
See you, mate.
Ed Russell joins us next with a somewhat tongue-in-cheek, if not intriguing, discussion on judging models in the future. And we've got Ed Russell with us. Ed's not only one of the organisers of the show, but also a judge as well. And offline, we're having such an interesting conversation about a concept that Ed came up with that Julian and I thought we just have to have you back on and perhaps share your thoughts with everybody else. So, Ed, it's in regards to, you're talking about automated judging.
Yes, indeed. I have to say that my take on Model Expo is probably a little bit different to some of the other committee, that I'm not really that fussed about competition and judging and such like, but I certainly do my share of entries and judging. But
Indeed, Julian judged with you last night, and
That's right.
A couple of years ago, you and I were together, we were doing judging. I think we were doing figures from memory, weren't we?
Indeed, we were doing figures, and it's quite difficult doing a first pass on figures. So the director of an expo and I were having a bit of a light-hearted discussion about how good his camera was with the facial recognition system. And it got me to thinking that in my previous life, the developments have been fantastic in things like cervical cytology and breast cancer screening, to the point where an automated system now is superior to a skilled, experienced operator in picking up tumours, cancers and such like, which is quite amazing. And when you think about it, at the rate of progress of artificial intelligence beyond chess playing and other fripperies like that, they can actually learn things. So the combination of artificial intelligence and high-resolution scanning, the sort of thing that they might do in 3D printing and scanning, gives a really high-quality recognition system.
So, wait, let me just get a handle on this. So what you're actually suggesting is, Ed, that we take out the human element out of judging and fully automate it.
That's pretty much what Lawrence and I were talking about. We thought with his very high quality resolution camera and the facial recognition system, he thought maybe all he would have to do for a first pass is to photograph the figures, and any that didn't register on the face recognition system, we could just give them the flick.
It's interesting. I mean, at what point does the threshold kick in? You know, I mean,
That's a good question, and it really the threshold depends on the quality of the artificial intelligence system that you've got. If it can do such wonderful things in cytology, which is basically a human skill in scanning cells, it should be able to do the same thing for a model. You just take a 3D scan of it and let the judging system decide where it goes. Remove the human element altogether.
So get rid of that bias that people always say creeps in into judging.
Exactly. You get a mixture of people who hate panel lines, people who love panel lines. Well, you just set the AI system somewhere in the middle and it will provide you with a middle-of-the-road result.
What do you reckon, Julian?
it's interesting. I mean, it's like, well, Ed was talking about it in terms of like a first pass. So, you know, with our two-stage judging process here at Model Expo, that would sort of cull out sort of the lower looking models and sort of enable us to sort of cut to the chase of judging the top contenders faster. Because it's actually, even though the first pass is very simplified, it's actually still quite time intensive.
But wouldn't the human eye be able to sort of your first pass anyway?
Well, where it comes into an interesting thing is like really, really advanced figure painting doesn't necessarily look that realistic, right? There's a lot more red tones that they put into faces to give them a bit more life. You know, creases in the face are more exaggerated.
Yeah.
You know, they more resemble like old oil paintings, you know, from the 18th century and stuff, but put on a three-dimensional object.
But it's not just the figure side of it. I mean, it's, you know, your aircraft, your ships, your armour.
It'd be more applicable in aircraft and ships.
Absolutely.
Yes, because a lot of modelling is a balance between realism and art.
Yes.
I really admire ones that are artistically done. I admire the skill of the modeller, even if I might look at the thing and think a real aircraft doesn't look anything like that. There's still a tremendous amount of skill. And this is where the problem of automated judging might be. What sort of bias are you going to build into the AI system? Are you going to bias it towards art or reality? That's why, to a degree, I think this conversation is somewhat hyperbolic and theoretical.
Oh yeah, absolutely theoretical.
But you know what? It's still not a bad idea to think, because you could then enter into, when you're entering your model, you could either have it and you could the class could be 100% realism and the other class could be artistic.
That's a thought.
And that
Instead
way
of 60 or 80 categories at Model Expo, we could go up to maybe 120 or 240. That would make the judging somewhat of a nightmare.
Well, if it's all being done by a computer and a camera.
Yeah, on the other hand, maybe we could all go home and the robotic setup will do all the judging for us. We come in the morning. We should be able to get a robot that can go around and put the first, second and third trophies on. Very interesting concept.
Yeah, we'll just be here using VR goggles. We wouldn't even need to turn up.
Well, I don't know. There's certainly some merits to it, but I don't know whether the technology's there, but would somebody have to write a program and do all the rest of it? And
I think a team of highly experienced programmers should be able to write it for under $500,000.
Oh, geez. I mean, it's fun. It's fun to sort of muse about these things, but you know, the reality is that this is one of the most human element type hobbies you can possibly imagine.
I think that's quite true, and I think that's what makes it attractive for a lot of people.
Yeah.
The amount of variety that you see is one of the great things about modelling.
Absolutely. All right, Ed, thanks very much for dropping in and having a chat about the potential of AI into judging.
You're most welcome, and hopefully no one on the Model Expo committee will listen to this podcast. Thank you very much.
No worries, Ed. Catch you later, mate. Next up, our resident guru on all things science fiction and especially Star Wars, Seth joins us to have a talk about the science fiction and Star Wars models at this year's Expo. And hi, and we're back, and we've found Seth wandering around, and so we thought we'd grab Seth and get him to have a chat about all the sci-fi subjects that we're seeing at the show here this weekend. G'day, Seth.
How are we?
Yeah, good, mate. So tell us what you've seen.
Yeah, it's pretty good turnout this year. I'm quite impressed.
Yeah.
It's a huge turnout, actually, this year for sci-fi.
Yeah, and there's actually even a whole club display devoted to Star Wars, which was pretty impressive.
Oh, you'd be absolutely happy about that.
yes. And I keep getting told there's not enough kits for a club display, but that's been proven wrong now.
They definitely proved that wrong.
And
Well, some of those are scratch built, aren't they?
some of them are, and some of them are toys but I think they're just more for garnish than actual saying they're kits. But
Yep.
So anything out there that's really sort of grabbing...
well, I've finally got to see one of the Zvezda Star Destroyers in the plastic, and yeah, it's quite impressive. So,
Now, there's a Zvezda one, and I also saw for sale a Revell one,
Yep.
which I believe is the same one. I think we
Should
spoke
be.
about this
Yes.
in our Star Wars episode. I was shocked at the price of the Revell one.
Yeah, you were telling me about that. I think they're definitely having you on there with that price.
$250.
Yeah. So I think a bit of internet shopping, you'll be able to find something a lot cheaper than that. For
Yeah.
Sure. So
I think the Zvezda one, even with the light kit's going for about, I think it's 120 euros. So that
Yeah.
equals about 250 Aussie.
yeah. So if he had the lighting kit in that, you'd probably go, yeah, you'd think about it.
Yeah.
But I don't think it did. So
Well, I might go and have a wander over and have a look and see if it does. And if it does, I'll seriously consider about shelling out some coin and purchasing that one.
But yeah, I was quite impressed with the one that's on display here. It's got all lit up, and yeah, it's nicely built.
It's the one thing I've always wanted to have a go at is actually lighting it. So I think
Yeah.
that'd be a nice challenge.
Ian would be the one to speak to about that, I think, wouldn't it?
Me lighting.
Yeah.
I think I've only ever lit up one kit, and I got a friend to help me.
It's cheating.
Are we talking electricity or fire?
Electricity. No, it was after fire. It was electricity. Fire came first.
Well, you got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
So I was going around the tables with Seth just a moment ago, and there were two Millennium Falcons that were right next to each other from two different brands.
Yeah, one was Bandai and one was the fine molds, and about the 1/44th scale ones, I think they were.
But
And-
yeah, they were very different size. Very different.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's noticeably different, and I don't know if it was one was built better than the other, but you could tell the difference in the size, and I'd say it would probably be the Bandai one that would be more accurate.
Yeah.
So, but
Was that the one that was lit up?
no, that was the bigger one. The
Oh, yep.
The one that had the nice paint job and everything.
Yeah, that one was
And you
really
could
nice.
See a tiny little Han Solo and Chewie sitting in the cockpit and everything. So
Excellent.
it's pretty cool.
But it's not just the Star Wars models. There's a whole heap of science fiction models that have been entered this year, which is...
Plethora of them.
yeah.
Mainly the Gundam stuff. There's heaps of Gundam stuff.
Heaps of
everywhere.
Gundams, and not only on display but also for sale from all the retailers here as well. I mean, directly across from us, I'm looking in there. We've got a ton of Gundam stuff over there for sale.
Yeah, I believe that's Hobbyco.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Ah,
that's their
okay.
stand this year.
I went to one of their stores in Sydney the other day.
No, did you?
Yeah, it was in a shopping centre. I was quite impressed.
Oh, wow.
To go into a big shopping centre, and I saw the Hobbyco sign. I thought, what's that? Went straight for it, and was quite pleasantly surprised at the amount of kits they had. They had other stuff in there as well, like the die-cast and trains and Scaletric stuff. But
Radio control.
they didn't. I don't think they had much of that, but it was a bit of everything they had in there. But I was surprised that a shopping centre would have a big selection of kits.
Yeah.
And I even bought one and found room in my suitcase to bring one back with.
No,
So-
good move,
Oh,
mate.
there you go.
What did you get?
Well, it was a tank. It was a TACOM Type 69 that I've been looking for, but I haven't been able to find anywhere. And I saw it and I thought, I was thinking about trying the swap and sell this weekend, but I doubt I'd find one. So I thought, bugger it, I'll buy it.
Well done.
Yeah, because if you get to that last day and you don't find what you want, then you're kind of
Yes.
kicking yourself for not pulling the trigger sooner.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's always a balancing act.
Yep. Totally agree.
But yeah, they're saying a lot of Gundam stuff, but also there's a lot of scratch-built sci-fi stuff over on the scratch-built table.
Yes.
There's a number of different kits over there as well. That
Yeah.
it's just superb, really well done.
Yeah, some
There's-
people have got some great imagination.
There's an interceptor from the TV show UFO,
Okay, yeah.
which just looks magnificent. And Ian and I were talking earlier on about the bug from the TV show
Red Dwarf.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that.
Oh, big green thing. You can't miss it.
Yeah.
Looks awesome.
And they got that weird floating crane thing. That
Yeah,
guy
now,
built that.
I've
I reckon
seen
just
that.
looks a very Fitch and Foo style.
Yeah, now there's a modelling company or online called Industrial Mecca.
Yeah, which does the Fitch and Foo stuff.
Yeah, and it looks exactly
Very
like that.
yeah.
And I'm just wondering whether, in fact, he sort of perhaps pinched from it.
Well, he's probably used their ideas and come
Yeah.
up with his own
Yeah.
design.
But geez, come up really nice, though,
Oh, it
hasn't
looks fantastic.
Yeah,
Little
it looks
crane
awesome.
and everything.
Yeah.
I was looking at the space slug.
Oh, I saw that.
Oh, yeah,
It's got the
space
little
slug.
tanks floating around inside it. And
So the
everything.
slugs
Yeah.
come along and consume the tanks. The
Yeah.
tanks and the truck are whirling away in its
Yeah,
insides.
yes. Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty cool to see little things like that are way out. I mean, I don't know how he did it, right? I mean, it's all clear. I imagine he sort of had to position tanks inside it and like make it out of like some of the resiny clear stuff that they do with the water.
Yeah,
and
I'd
then
say
polish
so,
this
yeah.
into like a dome.
Yep.
That's the only thing I can think of.
But no, it looks quite good, I reckon.
Yeah, very well done. What else is grabbing your eye out there, Seth?
Well, Ian and I both saw there was, I think it was out of the old Battleship Yamato anime series from the 80s. It was a little tiger, yellow and black, like a fighter, like a
Spaceship
fighter thing. It was quite
amazing
impressive.
build.
Oh, I didn't see
It
that.
looks fantastic.
And it has a cool stand that it's sitting on as well that's yellow and black as well, which
Yeah.
probably the squadron markings or something, so that was pretty impressive too.
Really nice build, nice paint job, nice weathering.
The thing that always grabs me about the sci-fi stuff is your ability to light the kits up, and they seem a lot more willing and free to do that than, say, having lighting on an aircraft, for example.
Yeah.
And just looks awesome, I reckon.
So, one of the kits that me and Seth saw a moment ago was this really impressive kit. So, it was in the mecha categories, but it wasn't a mech per se. What it was,
Right.
it was more like a salvage ship. So it had like some big claw-type arms on it, but it was mostly like a round bubble.
Oh, yeah, saw
Right?
that. Yeah.
Yeah, and it had like the cockpit open, and the guide basically in his little, like sort of spacesuit had gone out and done some things, and it was like he's in amongst like big pieces of like scrap metal, like from like a wrecked spaceship or something like that. And
Right.
it had a lighting kit in it, and the cockpit was all lit up, and it had some flashing lights on the outside. It was really, really impressive.
And the other thing I've seen today for the first time in real life is those kits from the Australian manufacturer, the rocket manufacturer, Horizon Hobbies,
Oh yeah.
Horizon Models.
The Mercury.
And they've got the Redstone and the Atlas rockets there.
Yep.
And they look awesome in real life. So I'd be very, very tempted to go and buy one of them, actually.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
They look really good.
Yeah, well, I think anything when you get all the Alclad type stuff going on just right, that just looks amazing.
Oh,
you know?
yeah. Because, of course, the Atlas was actually used as the a rocket to carry the ICBM, or the atomic weapons. And they whacked a capsule on top of that and used it to sort of send the guys up into space. But the Redstone rocket looks absolutely gorgeous. So I must go now online and have a look when I get home. And
Someone's going on a bit of a science fiction
I know,
spaceship
yeah.
thing at the moment.
Well, you know what this is? It's because you got a new place. You've got like a new stash to fill, right?
I haven't even finished putting my model room together, my build room together yet.
Really? Have you done the desk yet?
Yeah, the desk came up really well.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
I'll have to give you some pointers when you put it back together, because I did a couple of mistakes. But
I'm not pulling mine apart that far.
oh, you can do it. You can pull it apart that far, but just when you reassemble it, you just need to do some extra things, which
Yeah.
I didn't do. So I've compensated by getting some extra screws and some liquid nails, and it's solid as a rock.
Good.
Won't go anywhere.
Good to hear.
So, but yeah, I've got to take some more time off work and actually put my modelling room together, because that's the only part of the house I haven't finished yet.
Pull your finger out, Dave. Pull your finger out.
Yeah, I will.
Ian, you know that kit that you said that you just started, the Wingnut Wings?
Yeah, the Junkers D1.
Yeah, so that's on the raffle
Yes,
at the moment.
I'm looking at it right now, yeah.
Yeah, along with Tiran 45.
Yep, and it looks like there's also raffling off an Iwata airbrush, an Iwata Neo.
Oh, yeah. Does the tank interest you, Seth?
Oh, definitely, because I do like those Russian Hanks, and it's the Israeli version. So I might actually buy a raffle ticket for once this year.
Oh, for once this year. I was in it last year because I think they had they had a Wingnut Wings kit that I wanted. And when I didn't win it, I just went and bought it anyway.
There you go.
Actually, what I haven't seen for a while is they used to raffle off paintings and prints.
Oh, yeah?
We haven't got...
No, not Randall Wilson's stuff. No, just proper...
Is he here this weekend?
No, Randall Wilson's not here this weekend.
Right.
Just
Is
for
it a
our
shame?
listeners overseas, Randall Wilson is an accomplished artist and actually does box artwork for Trumpeter.
Yes, for
I didn't
all
know
the
that.
ship lines.
All the ship ones.
Yep.
And it's a pity he's not here this weekend because he would have been great to have on have a chat with.
Oh, maybe
mind.
next year.
Maybe next year, indeed. Well, we're hard up against the clock, and we've still got quite a few interviews to get to. So what I might do is I might call it quits for episode 25, wrap it up here. And what we'll do, the remaining episodes, I'll roll together in a package and have that bundle out in episode 26 sometime in the next week or so. So stay tuned, and thanks for listening.